Yeah, I'm sorry, dude. I just really got to finish this and send it out. So I'm just going to keep going as we talk. Yeah, I just noticed, looking on YouTube and kind of seeing what people are talking about in Japan and also Japanese YouTubers and what they're talking about, just to kind of see, if we're on the right track and the type of videos we're doing and stuff. And I noticed that there's a lot of talk about the huge influx of gaijin in Japan right now because the yen is kind of weak. So people from all over the world are going to Japan.
Let's go to Japan.
Yeah, and way more than before. So again, even just, I'm seeing footage of Shinjuku, Kabukicho, everything, and there's mad foreigners, groups, giant groups of blonde people walking around, or giant groups of people from India, or and even some brothers there, doing just getting into some messed up shenanigans, I think, because I think this is the thing. I think people are curious about Japan for many reasons. People like anime, manga, video games, then you got the pop idols, all that type of stuff. But I think the difference between the foreigners that are going there now and the ones that used to is the ones that used to had maybe more knowledge about Japan to begin with because they were interested or some type of otaku, whatever the shumi may be, they would go, but they would know beforehand, okay, you don't do this in Japan because this is considered rude, right? Or when you do this, make sure to do this thing because Japanese people appreciate it. Now I think you have more of a casual tourist that's hey, let's go to Japan. I've never been to Japan. Let's go. So they don't have any idea about any of these things that maybe other people might. And then there's people that are just going, they really don't, they seem to just not care. I saw footage of people just crossing the street on a red light, just jaywalking, which when I lived in Japan, it just amazed me how people did not jaywalk. Even when it's 3 in the morning, there's no cars in sight, there's nothing. And I just saw people just standing there and waiting. And I thought, wow, they're really law-abiding citizens. Can't be said that you can't say the same thing for people in other countries. To varying degrees, every culture follows the laws of traffic differently. I gotta say, driving in Argentina, it's not the same as driving in the States. It's not the same as driving in Japan, And but these people were just, and there was a cop there. And the cop, he's got his little his white gloves, and he's just please. And people are dangerous. And it's not even like it's young people that are just just assholes. No, it's just older women, ladies, whatever. They're just taking photos, doing whatever. I thought, man,
look at these Asians.
So, I mean, it's gotten to the point where, in areas traditional tourist areas like Kyoto and stuff, they just have restricted areas, gaijin restricted areas, where it's hey, if you're a foreigner, you can't come here anymore.
Was it Gifu or Gion? Something like that, right?
I'm not sure.
Super traditional, where Maiko-san's walking around, right?
Yes. That's Gifu?
Gion or Gifu. Do a little.
You pop it up. Actually. But yeah. There were people, I remember they were following the geisha or the Maiko-san. And taking photos and running in front of them, and they're just trying to they're trying to duck out of the way. They're trying to avoid foreigners. I think that's not even just Japanese culture. You should have the common sense to know you can't. You don't really. You don't have the right to stalk someone and photograph them because they're wearing something that's. I understand people seeing someone with white makeup. And those wigs they have with the widow's peak and all that. Yeah, it's and bright colors. I get it. But at the same time, this is a person, you can't be chasing them everywhere.
These guys, who's not really familiar with Asian cultures, they're to them, Asian people are just not really humans to them. It's just an attraction. These are just kanko attraction. So we can just do whatever we want type stuff.
Where are you getting your information from? Is it what they think? They're nah, they're not human.
They're not human, they're robots. Working robots.
It's just very, very rude. And there's a lot of that. And by the way, these are just tourists that let's just chalk it up to them not knowing better. Maybe this lady, you know how people get to a certain age where they just stop giving a shit about anything? Like the obasan in Japan, where they just stop. There's no more tatemae for like older ladies.
It's like
they
all
just
the
tell you
filters
whatever.
gone.
Yeah.
It's just like brain and mouth. That's it.
Just give it to you straight, no chaser. Well, you know, maybe this lady was like that too. But the other thing I noticed is there's this trend of like, you know, YouTubers, TikTokers, what have you, you know, Cake, whatever, where they just go around being just a real nuisance on purpose.
Yeah.
Like they're yelling at people on the street.
Yeah.
And then like, you know, putting on weird stuff and just being like doing that. Yeah. And that's really
same thing, man. To them is like, yo, like these are Asian people, can do whatever we want to them.
Well, you know what I think part of it is?
What?
I didn't mean to cut you off. What were you saying?
No.
I think part of it is the people in Japan are really polite.
Yeah.
So even though they might be really upset about something, they might not show it. They might not show it visibly. You know, people aren't like. I realize when we talk, we do a lot of hand gestures and like make crazy faces and do all this stuff. But like, exactly. But like Japanese people, compared to Westerners, and depending on the country, I think Americans were very animated compared to like maybe people in other countries. But people in Japan are very, you know, their poker face is strong, dude. They're just, you know, they could be completely in distress and just keep it together. You know what I mean?
And go home and just like, voodoo.
Right. So I think when you know, there's certain countries you can't act a fool like you can get away with in Japan because you start catching some hands, dude. But in Japan, people just kind of try to avoid the confrontation and get around and just kind of be like, hey, you know. And so people take advantage of that. And some of these YouTubers, I mean, you know, we got YouTubers getting arrested and stuff. I don't even want to mention the dude's name because, like, I think he's whack as hell, dude. Like, but there's some YouTubers that they get known for just being a menace, going out there, insulting people, like openly insulting, not even like bothering them or pranking them. No, it's just straight yelling offensive things that they know will be offensive. And unfortunately, the way algorithms work in all of social media is negativity gets a lot more out of the algorithm. To the point where, you know, you end up having to have like certain types of titles for videos or whatever just to get it moving, you know? And so these people are like already, you know, taking it to the limit where they're getting arrested because they're just, are they getting views? Are they getting eyes? Are they getting the algorithm to like favor them over other content? It seems like it. But at the same time, I feel like next time I go to Japan, you know, Japanese people who are like tired of these types of people, they might see me and be like, oh man, here's another one. You know what I mean? Like, that's what's also pretty annoying.
A lot of gaijins who've been living in Japan and kind of assimilated, they're super against him. They're like, oh, okay, y'all making it look bad for all of us now.
Oh yeah.
Yo, like we like finally fit in. I got used to Japan and you guys come everything for thanks, mother.
And actually, that just reminded me. So like, it's same topic of just things I didn't like about Japan. I'm not so sure that's really Japan's fault either. But like, the topic of being a foreigner or a Westerner, and especially, you know, like one that is obviously so physically, right? Like you could get away and have the Asian camouflage and just be another Japanese person, right?
Blend in.
But like, you know, I couldn't. And
oh, you couldn't?
No, only maybe with a blind Japanese person I might get away with it. I'm just very quiet, or just, you know. But now, is the idea of Westerners and the image that's pushed in the public, and it might be different now, it might be the same. I'm not sure, but it's these characters. Like if you're like a Westerner, you're a character. So I would ride the train and watch these, you know, commercials on the little screen, and you know, if it was a black guy, he had like a basketball under his arm, and he was like yo 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 yo. And if it was like a white dude, he had a cowboy hat and like you know, you know. And there was this commercial. It was called it was like Monster.com, or isn't Monster.com? I don't even know if that exists anymore. But it's one of those like search engines for jobs. Japan had one called Daijob.
Daijob, yeah.
And it was like, Daijob means okay in Japanese, but it was Daijob. It was big job, but sounds like okay. And the Daijob mascot was like this old white guy with a cowboy hat, and he was like, Daijob!
Right.
You know, and like, he was like, yeah! Ooh. You know, and, you know, and people, Japanese people see that, and they don't, it's not a joke to them.
Right.
Because there's no context for the joke. Like, we see that, we're like, okay, that's hilarious. This is some, I don't know, is he supposed to be like a Texan rancher or something? To them, they're like, well, that's a white person, and that's what white people do, I guess, because I don't have any other point of reference.
Like back then, even more.
Back then, even more. And the media pretty much pushes that image, which I remember I used to talk to my editors and say like, yo, like nobody wears this in the US. Nobody acts like this in the US.
Right.
And they're like, yeah, we know, dude. Like, don't think you're so important. We don't care. He's like,
it's not for the world. Didn't say it like it's that. Just for us. It's for domestic usage only. So
yeah. He's like, yeah, we get it. We can imagine it's not, but this is the way we like to see it. And it goes back to the thing where a lot of times when I did an interview on TV, they would ask me, after we had all our meetings in Japanese and everything, they would ask me to speak in English. Right. Which I refused to do every time because I didn't want to feed into that stereotype of like Westerners don't get it and they're alien to everything and they don't understand stuff. It just makes it hard for Westerners too. Like you know, I mean, even if you do speak Japanese, and it might be different now. I'm curious to see next time I go, but you know, it was always the conversation, you always have to get past explaining to people why you speak Japanese. Right. There is no straight just talking to someone. The only time I experienced that, my own personal experience, was in Osaka. And I really liked that about Osaka. Like, if I would speak to someone in Japanese, and then they would just answer right back, which meant that in their head, they were like, okay, this is a foreigner who speaks Japanese. That's it. There was no huge mystery. There was no, this person must be a genius. There was none of that. It was just like, okay, you speak my language, great. Let's get down to business. Let's drink. Right. Where in Tokyo, it was always like I knew it was coming. なんで日本語喋るの? でもそんなペラペラに喋れるのはなんか、どれぐらい住んでる? How long you been living here? How come you speak like so fluently? And all this stuff. And it's fine. It's nice, I guess, you know, like you kind of feel like, oh, wow, I'm great. Maybe. But if you live there, it doesn't feel that way anymore. Like if you're visiting, then it's like, okay, that's a name.
Once or twice, but after like 157 times, then you're just like,
It just becomes an extra step every time. So, but if you have the media always showcasing, you know, foreigners who look different, being these outlandish, DJ from Street Fighter, maracas, shaking like weirdos. Then you're reinforcing an image of that. And most people don't have the opportunity to speak to a foreigner normally in Japan. They have more of an opportunity now just because there's more foreigners there. But so it always becomes a thing where they're not too sure how to behave with you. And like, should I do something? You know, they'll come up with weird ideas. Like I remember discussing should I do something weird to like make them feel comfortable? You know what I mean? Because Japanese people, they always want to be welcoming and, you know, and mindful of others. So they're like, should I start talking really loud? Should I just start pointing and doing American shit? You know, like, and so, you know, it's just kind of like, it's not their fault because they're thinking about these things, but it's just like they're misled by what they see on TV because they do see the most foolish.
It really feels super weird seeing those gaijins on TV. They're gaijins or maybe Americans, Australians, like British, but always feels super weird. I'm like, where are these motherfuckers from?
Oh, they're anywhere.
Like, you're like, where are these motherfuckers from? Like,
I think there's two rules.
What?
A Western-looking foreigner will always play an American on TV. And the second rule is, it'll never be an American who's playing the American.
Oh, that too. Yeah.
I don't know why that is. I do know. It's because when I lived there, most Westerners there were never American. They were from Europe. or they were like, or they were from Africa. If they were black, they weren't Black Americans, and you know, they needed somebody on TV or for a commercial or for like an ad. They need someone to model a T-shirt, and they want like a black dude. You know, they're gonna get, you know, somebody from Nigeria, somebody from Uganda, somebody, you know, they're not gonna get somebody from Brooklyn. It's just not statistically, they're not going to, because that wasn't the population of Westerners there. So this guy, this Daijob cowboy, he's probably Australian if I had to guess, because the most white people I met in Tokyo were either Australian or British.
British, yeah.
That was it.
Yeah.
Americans, rarely ever. Rarely ever.
Soldiers.
Yeah, and like, you know, that's like Yokosuka, Yokohama, whatever. I never. Maybe if you go to Roppongi, you'll bump into them. Yeah, but I didn't really meet a lot of GIs.
Right. Yeah, man. But I guess nowadays Tokyo, because remember those little kids, like Hafu kids or non-Asian kids who grew up in Japan, like all the young kids when we were there, they're all grown up now. So I guess more and more, like half kids or non-Asian Japanese kids, it's more a common thing, commoner than we were when we were there.
Oh, definitely.